So, hello and welcome to this topic on air pollution. So, in this set of videos, we will be looking at air pollution. We will try to understand the issues around air pollution. So, again I would like to stress that these videos are actually to supplement the classroom teaching. It is not going to replace the classroom teaching. So, you are required to attend all the class regularly. Of course, you should watch this video, as I have been saying, before the class, so that we can have a good discussion in the class, and also you can use these videos for your revisions and other stuff before quiz, assignment, and your exams. So, okay, let's get started. So, in this set of videos, we'll be looking at air pollutants, like what are air pollutants, what are the sources of air pollutants, what are the impacts from these air pollutants. We'll talk about Clean Air Act. We'll also look at National Ambient Air Quality. So, those are what is our air quality index. We'll talk about the air quality index. So, National Ambient Air Quality Index, and then AQI. If you open your cell phone, on the first screen on your cell phone, on the top right corner, you may see these days AQI also shows up. So, an AQI, there is a certain number next to it. So, so you should wonder, if you don't if you have not looked at carefully, you should look at carefully, and you try to say that why that number, what does number really mean. So, we will try to understand that. And one of the important aspect about air pollution is looking at the ozone and photochemical smog. So, we will talk about ground level ozone, and then how the air pollution moves from like air pollution is not a localized problem, it becomes more of a regional and even global problem. So, we will talk about those. Again, we will look at Montreal Protocol in terms of ozone depletion, and at the end towards we will talk very briefly on indoor air quality, which is also very important. We are spending a lot of time inside our house. So, how the different things, different activities, different stuff that we have in house and different activities that we do within the house affects the air quality, and what are potential long term health impact associated with that. And that is very relevant on day to day basis, and still it is more relevant during this you can say during the recent lockdown that we had. Most of us was indoor for quite a long time. But even without this lockdown, we do spend a significant portion of our life indoors. So, whether it is in our offices, whether it is in our home. So, that is what we are going to talk about, what are the issues associated with that in terms of indoor air quality. So, when we say pollution, it is introduction of harmful materials into the environment. That is what it is. It is like you have introduction of harmful material, that is what you are looking at. So, it is your harmful material which can come from either you are seeing a picture, it could be a part of your waste. It could be part of like a solid waste, it could be liquid waste, it could be gaseous waste. This picture on the left hand side, you can see that solid waste here, and that on the background you can see all those smoke going from those different chimneys. So, all these are introducing harmful materials in the environment, and they are called pollutants. So, it can be natural, for example, volcanic ash, that is a natural pollutant we can say. And it is also what is created by the human activity. So, when you have runoff from the factories, so those are your coming from the human activity. So, pollutants damage the quality of air, damage the quality of water, and also damage the quality of land, the soil. So, that is what it is all what we look at. This is what we are talking about when we say pollutant. Now, what is air pollution? Air pollution is the presence of substance which is harmful to health of humans and other living beings, and it can cause damage to climate. So, air pollutant, so pollution is the presence of substance which is harmful to health. Pollutant are actually the specific elements and compounds which are creating air pollution, and these elements and compounds has adverse effects on humans and the ecosystem. So, these are substances found in ambient air, and is not part of the natural composition, and it's and their concentration is actually higher than what is typically found in natural composition. So, So, pollutant could be two things, like one is you have the substance which is kind of foreign, which is not there in the air to start with. So, that substance is there, plus it is also, if you have, for example, carbon dioxide, we do have some carbon dioxide, we do have some certain gases present in the atmosphere, but they are at very low concentration. But if we increase the concentration of those, then it becomes a problem. A pollutant can be solid particle, liquid droplets, or gases. It can be natural, as we talked about, volcanic eruption, or it could be man-made, such as burning of fossil fuel. There are different types of air pollutants. You can have gas such as ammonia, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbons. It can also be particulate, both organic and inorganic. It could be all biological material. So, there are variety of air pollutants out there, and they do have adverse effect on human health and also to other species present in the environment, other living species present in the environment, if the concentration is at a level which is higher than the threshold level. It is higher than the acceptable level, and that acceptable level is calculated based on what is known as the risk assessment. So, we kind of look at what concentration you start seeing adverse impact, and then from there we do a lot of statistical modeling and other stuff in there, get all these data from dose response curve and all those data we get, and then from lab data, epidemiological data like the real natural data, then use a lot of statistical method, and then we come up with a safe level. So, if the concentration is above the safe level, it is those will cause negative impact on human health as well as on the environment. Now, when you look at the pollutants, there are two major criteria that has been given. So, two major groups that has been given. One is known as primary pollutants, one is called secondary pollutants. So, as the name suggests, primary pollutants, as you can see on the list here, we have carbon monoxide. So, we have carbon monoxide, we have nitric oxide, we have SO2, we have NO2, particulate matters, ammonia, volatile organic compounds. So, these are the primary pollutants, and their source, as you can see, all those arrows, look at all those white arrows. The white arrows are actually showing us the sources from where these primary pollutants are being generated, are being produced. So, carbon monoxide comes because of the exhaust from aeroplane. From volcanic eruptions, we get ammonia and other from stuff that we do in agricultural activity, we have volatile organic carbon. From factories, we get VOCs as well, and from towns and homes, we get VOCs, we get NO2, and we also get NO, and vehicle exhaust will give us VOCs and several other stuff as well. From shipping industry, again you can get particulate matter and some of these emissions. So, all these primary pollutants, there are a variety of sources from these primary pollutants are coming, but these are the one which is produced due to human activity or natural activity in the atmosphere. So, they are the primary compound or primary they are being generated. So, that is what it is called primary. Now, then what will become secondary? Secondary is when one of these primary reacts. One of these primary reacts either by itself along with the other atmospheric factors, or within themselves when they react together and they produce secondary pollutants. So, secondary pollutants are not produced directly by certain sources on earth. It is basically the primary pollutants reacting together and producing the secondary pollutants. So, secondary pollutants is your SO3, which will of course come from SO2, HNO3, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, hydrogen peroxide, ozone, ammonium plus, which is ammonium, what we saw earlier was ammonia, and then of course, the particulate matters will get together and will form other particulate matters as well. So, that is your this is what the major difference between the primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. This is a very common question which is asked, like what is the difference between primary pollutants and secondary pollutants? Give some example of primary pollutants, give some example of secondary pollutants. So, this is what it is. So, this is what you need to look at. So, according to origin, we already explained it. So, I will just go into it very quickly. According to origin, the air pollutants are classified into primary pollutants, which is directly from identified sources produced by natural events. It could be dust storms, volcanic eruption, human activities. So, emissions from vehicles they are called primary pollutants. So, you have for example, smoke, dust, oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, hydrocarbons, particulate matter, they are all primary pollutants. Secondary pollutants are formed in the atmosphere by the chemical interaction between the primary pollutants and other atmospheric constituents. So, those are your secondary pollutants like sulfur dioxide, ozone, ketone, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, carbonic acid, these are all secondary pollutants as we were looking at. So, according to the in terms of air pollutants, the first one that we talked about was the source, primary and secondary. So, now it also says if you look at the state of matter, if you look at the air pollutants classification from the point of view of a state of matter, we can say gaseous and particulates, because when we talk about air pollution, natural thing which comes into our mind is gas, isn't it? Air means mostly gas. So, there are gaseous air pollutants, but there are also particulate air pollutants. So, gaseous are as the name suggests, gaseous means they will exist in gaseous state. So, gaseous air pollutants will be in gaseous state at normal temperature and pressure. So, for example, carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur oxide, etc. Particulates is they are not gaseous substance, because they are particulates, they are suspended droplets, solid particles or mixture of the two. So, they are called particulate air pollutants. So, that is the small particles, different sizes and shapes just hanging around in the air, getting into our nose, getting into our body and creating problem in terms of affecting getting into our lungs and all that. So, that is our like based on particulate air pollutants out there. Now, what are the source of air pollution? We already looked at some in terms of when we talk about primary and secondary. So, pollutant, anything which emits pollutant in the atmosphere is known as source of air pollution. Anything which is emitting a pollutant into the atmosphere. So, when you drive a car, it is creating pollution. When you are kind of there is a dust storm, that will create a pollution. Things car, trucks, buses, motorcycles, they will create air pollution. Air conditioners in our houses, in the cities, all those ACs which has a lot of exhaust going on, that is again air pollution. There are natural stuff. That is also like a natural, you have volcanic lightning that creates some air pollutant as well. Then we have factories which will create air pollution. We use of fertilizers, pesticides, part of it is volatile, it will become air pollutant. Fossil fuel, those petrol pumps and all those, when you are using the gasoline, then again you can smell it, that is the VOCs, volatile organic carbons, that is again those are also air pollution. So, there are variety of sources could be there. Some examples here is presented in this picture, and they are coming from natural sources or anthropogenic sources. So, those are two major. Natural means which is already happening in the atmosphere, anthropogenic is man-made. So, which is there because of it's a man-made. So, natural sources is your forest fire, volcanic eruptions, dust storm. So, those are your natural sources. Mobile source, that anthropogenic is divided into two parts. So, as you can see here, if you have a anthropogenic means man-made, is divided into two parts. One is our mobile. Now, mobile source is which can move from one place to another, like vehicles. Vehicles are our mobile source, or you can have in mobile you can have road sources, you can have non-road sources like cars, light duty, heavy duty trucks and all that. Non-road is aircraft, motorbike, locomotives, and all those are your like a is your construction equipments. Those are non-road sources, which is also creates a problem in terms of air pollution. Then we have a stationary source. A stationary means which does not move. So, it is not moving. So, a stationary source of pollution. A stationary again could be point source and area source. Point source means it is coming from a one particular point. So, where we can trace the state of pollution to a single point, as the name suggests, point source, single point. So, that is your which is a point source of pollution, like power points, oil refineries, industrial facilities, factories and all that. Those are our point source, the chimney, the stack, that is what is the point source. Area source is when you are pollution cannot be traced back to a single point, but to an area like your cities. So, it is coming from the different sources within the cities. Now, we have agricultural areas. where you have fertilizers, pesticides and other things you have done, and then the whole like few acres or few hundred acres, all those coming place. Now fireplaces, you have the wood burning fireplaces, so there could be multiple wood burning fireplaces out there, so they are all coming together within an area, and then it becomes an area pollution. So that's your area source, not it is traced back to the area source. So impacts of air pollution is worsening. It's creating a lot of health impact, climate impact, water, energy, food. All these, like this air pollution is causing impact in these major areas, and there are you can list some more out there as well. Health, indoor and outdoor or air pollution is linked to 7 million premature deaths worldwide annually. 7 million premature deaths because of indoor and outdoor air pollution. Some air pollutants affect climate change and accelerate Arctic warming and glacial melt. So some say ozone layer and all that we always talk about. So that is creating impact on climate change. Air pollution is affecting the rainfall pattern. Air pollution is affecting the rainfall pattern. Sorry, is storm intensities. The storm we are now in the recent past we are seeing weather extremities, like either it is too cold or too hot, or during the winter month all of a sudden you are feeling warm. So it's very weird with weird weather, and weird weather is leading to a lot of changes into the climate, and that's storm intensities or sometimes we are getting too much of a storm, and regional weather patterns are changing, such as monsoon. For example, that Kal-Baisakhi in this part of the country, we used to get, like I think I mentioned that to you, I grew up in this town. So when as a school going children, when I used to use my bicycle and go to school, I would see the clouds starts forming when I'm leaving a school in the afternoon. Our school used to run from 10 a.m. to around 4 p.m. So while I'm coming back, we'll start seeing the clouds form, and by the time it's only 2 kilometers away from my home, but by the time I'll reach home, it will start pouring. So almost every afternoon or every other afternoon, we'll have that Kal-Baisakhi that happening in this particular area. But that is becoming rare these days. So those kind of rainfall patterns are going away, and that's true if for your area as well. If you can talk to some people who are older, who are kind of my age or even older than me, so they will tell you that how the weather pattern has changed, how the rain pattern has changed. Now what does that mean? It will change the water availability in that area too. So those are the issue because of the air pollution is affecting the rainfall pattern. Haze and dust is creating solar yield by as much as 25%. See, we want to put solar panels. We want to put solar panels as much as possible. When you come to this campus, you will see that if you do a drone camera record, like I have that drone camera, maybe one day I'll show you. I have done that with a drone. I have from that guest house roof, I have taken the entire campus. So I can show you that maybe one day. So it's you can see we have so many of solar panels on the roofs here. In fact, some we lost during this recent Amphan stuff, so we have to replace those. But so this air pollution, the haze and dust, if it gets onto the solar panel, that is reducing the efficacy of solar panel by 25%. So that is becoming a problem. Now air pollution is reducing the global crop yield because of, again, all the environmental factors. It reduces 15% for wheat and soya and 5% for maize. So that is also creating an issue over there. So air pollution is becoming a big problem in terms of impact on health, climate, water, energy, and food. So we have to, and we all are affected by this. So effects of air pollution, there are adverse effects on human health, reduces yield of crops, as you saw, corrodes metal. If you have acidic stuff, corrodes metal, deforms monuments made of marbles like Taj Mahal. We have seen that. If you have Google it, you will find those reports as well. Because of the acidic stuff in the atmosphere, it is eating up those marbles. Produces atmospheric haze, difficulty in seeing clearly long distance, makes soil acidic, less fertile, causes eutrophication in lakes and ponds, then causes global warming, global climate change, forms ozone hole. So, all those things impact is present is being seen because of air pollution. And if you look at the health impact, in the short term, we are seeing the people are getting affected with headache. Some people are more susceptible. They will have kind of like they have an episode of severe headache, and also sinus and other problem gets aggravated. So, you have nose, throat and eye inflammation, coughing, painful breathing, like if it's too much dusty, so much pollution out there. People like I also get affected by like coughing, and like something gets problem, like it becomes very uneasy, and pneumonia, bronchitis problem is skin irritation, and those issues. Those are the short term, and the long term is it affects your central nervous system. You will have a constant headache, you will feel anxiety is there, cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease, asthma, cancer. In fact, I think I may have posted that in the course website. There was a report done by Lancet. If I have not done it, I will do that. Lancet had did a report for I think 2018 data, where they found that close to 15 lakh people are actually affected by air pollution related stuff in India. So, 15 lakh people. So, think about that. So, that is a huge number of people, and if you compare that to the COVID situation, it is almost 10 times the COVID situation. So, it does. So, COVID of course needs a good attention, but also we need to really at the same we should at least put same level of attention to this air pollution problem as well, because that is also creating a lot of health and loss to the economy as well. So, if you look at the pyramid's effects on human health, so you start from millions of people are having in terms of here you have the magnitude of impacts in thousands, tens of thousands and all that, and then the severity of impact. So, you start from and then proportion of population affected. So, lung function decrements, inflammation, cardiac effect that you see at a bigger higher level of population. Then you start seeing respiratory symptoms such as asthma attack, doctor visits, school absence, lost work days. So, if you are in school absence, that is also negative for the economy. If you are looking at lost work days, that is again it is not good for your economy as well. ER visits, hospital admissions, heart attack, and then there are some which may die as well. As you can see, there were thousands in where people have died because of the air pollution. Greater than 90% of effect is like we are seeing in terms of impact on severity effect. When there we have more than 90% effect, then it can potentially lead to death, and that is one of the kind of major issue with related to your effect of pollution on human health. Okay, so and then how it is effect. If you look at the further on effects of air pollution, you have the acidic gases, how it is causing it. So, you have acidic gases released into the atmosphere. So, we have these acidic gases which is coming to the atmosphere. You can see those SO2, NO2, CO2 gases are carried upward. They combine with water droplets to form acid. So, you have the acid rain coming down. Now, the acid rain is destroying plants, pollutes water sources, soils and erode buildings as well. So, and that's the reason acid rain is considered very seriously. Like when we look at in terms of air pollution, one of the important thing we look at is potential of acid rain in that area. So, let us stop here and then we will start from Clean Air Act in the next video. So, again in this video we were talking about the stuff related to the what is air pollution and what is air pollutant, what are the sources of air pollutant, and what is its negative impact in terms of human health and environment. So, in the next we will start talking about some rules and then also how to actually try to prevent the negative impact from these air pollutants. So, thank you, keep watching and keep attending all the classes too. See you in next video.